Coming to you live from Nairobi, Kenya. Welcome to Africa Focus, where we bring you news from across the continent right here on Switch TV Kenya. My name is Joel Chacha, and our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. Start interacting with us on our social media platforms at Switch TV Kenya, at Joel Chacha M on Twitter, and as well on Facebook, Switch TV Kenya and Joel Chacha. Send in an SMS via 22999 free of charge. But first, here are stories making headlines.
South Africans welcome reopening of restaurants and casinos. Zimbabweans enjoy first local setup of cigar making plant.
We begin. South Africa has allowed casinos, cinemas and restaurants to reopen despite a rise in COVID-19 coronavirus infections. Nevertheless, the number of infections is rising daily by the thousands, and the country now has the highest number of cases in the continent.
Restaurants and casinos have been allowed to reopen as part of a phased and gradual relaxation of the restrictions. But businesses remain slow 5 days on, picking up to just about 25% of pre-lockdown levels for some restaurants at Johannesburg's Premier Entertainment and Gaming Centre. With infections rising, many potential guests remain cautious, and an ongoing ban on serving alcohol with meals also means some diners are staying away, at least for now.
With your friends?
I think it really feels good, as me personally, I'm an outdoor person, so I think for me, I'm breathing again, this kind of thing. So yeah, it really feels like my freedom is back, kind of thing. Yeah.
To come in, all my staff have been thoroughly trained on all hygiene aspects. We sanitize tables before and after a client comes. My staff constantly sanitize themselves. We're trying our utmost best to make customers feel safe and make sure that they feel safe when they come and dine out with us.
In a far corner of the same 120-seater restaurant, where fewer than 10 tables are occupied, the restrictions on the sale and consumption of alcohol are part of the government's lockdown rules. But alcohol accounts for a huge chunk of restaurants' revenues, and the industry is lobbying to put booze back on the menu.
Casino floor. On the casino floor itself, there is complete any touch surface. There are wet wipes provided, sanitizer provided to desanitize before, and increasingly in our casino, we're covering points of touch with plastic to allow easy wiping off. So it really is a mindset of complete safety. It's really what it's all about. At the end of the day,
there are at least 2 empty machines between each gambler, and cleaners wait in the background to sanitize each machine after use. Guests can only enter after they have had their temperature taken and are wearing a face mask and sanitize their hands regularly.
I came out of prison. Absolutely it felt like I haven't been out for years, just 3 months. It's been really, it's really been something.
Still in South Africa, where schools have gradually reopened for some grades as the lockdown starts to ease. But in the town, or rather in the rural town of Sterkspruit, Eastern Cape, a teacher at the Sitoromo Junior Secondary School tested positive for COVID-19 and classes were halted for 2 weeks. Take a look.
Now this coronavirus, it had a great impact negatively to the learners and also the community, because now most of the learners, since March, they've been staying at home. Nothing has been happening. Very few, as you can see, grade 7s who have started coming to school only last month. Now it has impacted us in a negative way.
Not mine, but for me, it's difficult as a maths teacher. Now I want to show some expressions in my face. So it's difficult to say, this, I don't want this, I want this. Then you have to show your expressions to the kids. Now I've put on the mask. Will it be easy? They cannot see my face. I cannot see their face. It's very difficult.
When I am at home, I'm cleaning. After cleaning, I'm cooking. After cooking, we go to play and there is no social distancing there, no masks. Then when we are at school, we do many things like social distancing and sanitizing, wearing masks. Yes, I'm scared of coronavirus because if I had it, I'm going to touch my mom sometimes. Sometimes he want to kiss me. Maybe I have it, but I don't know.
As Kenya fights the COVID-19 pandemic, the disease is also altering the retail landscape as more buyers go online and have their goods delivered to their food or rather to their doorsteps. Many have also lost their jobs and have had to build their own startups. And our reporter Harry Chimea brings us the story of Sydney Chazima, the new Babamboga in town. His story is no different. He had to survive no matter what.
Everyone is busy and struggling to fight their own battles in the busy streets of Nairobi during this time of the pandemic, just to survive. This is his daily routine. Every day at 4 a.m., Sydney Chazima hops on a boda boda to Wangige Market to get fresh farm produce at a lower price. There, he begins his daily hustle. Like many who have lost jobs due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Sydney's story is not different.
Mi train watoto wa high school na colleges kufanya hizi traditional dances, cultural dances. So hata tulikuwa competition wakati the first case inakuwa announced. So tukaenda nyumbani with the hope that taisha tu turudi tuendelee na maisha yetu. Haijakuwa. So one day kuna rafiki yangu fulani anaitwa Steve, alikuwa anashinda akinituma groceries. Sido, enda unilete groceries, ananitumia pesa, naenda nampelekea. So one day nafikiria, what is this I'm doing? And what can I do from this?
Chazima, who was also a video editor, found an alternative way to feed his family. Depending on the number of deliveries and the distance to different estates, this Babamboga has to get a cab.
First tuliona on Facebook, alipost, and then tuka reach out to him. Hapo ndo basi tukaanza kumpatia order, hakuwa akituletea mboga. According to hiyo situation ya saizi venye kunaenda, mi kuenda sokoni na mtoi na kuanga saa zingine ni stress. So at least akileta, in fact anafika on time, anazipack vizuri, ni safi, ziko fresh, yeah.
Sydney admits that he faces numerous challenges during his daily bustle.
Challenges kama kuna watu fulani wanaona kulipa delivery ni noma. So inabidi tu unataka kubuild hiyo camaraderie na hiyo customer ni ya kwanza first timer. Sema ni sawa tu, let me go, but next time unajua uta negotiate nini na upate hiyo delivery fee. So most of the time unapata tu ni delivery fee. Alafu another thing, kuna mtu atakupatia order sahi na anataka sahi. And you know, kwa hii mambo ya groceries, the moment tu jua imewaka hivi, just know you're not dealing with the farmer. Jua ikiwaka mchana hivi, you're not dealing with the farmer. So you'll buy something very expensive.
All one needs to do to acquire Babamboga services is to make a call and place their orders and pay via mobile money or on delivery, in which Babamboga ensures the product gets to one's doorstep effectively. Chazima's life has however taken a better turn amid the COVID-19 pandemic, and he aspires to grow his business and make partnerships in the long run. Chazima's word of advice to the young generation, especially those who lost their source of income, is to challenge themselves in creating own startups with the little they have. Desperate times call for desperate measures. For Sydney, the new Babamboga in town is taking one step at a time to put food on his table. Harriet Chimea, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Chimea, for such a great story. Now, Crossing Borders, an overseas-based businessman, has set up the first cigar-making plant in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe smokers can now enjoy a puff of locally made cigars.
A Zimbabwean entrepreneur in Africa's top tobacco producer has launched the first local brand of hand-rolled cigars, defying coronavirus and economic odds to light up manufacturing. Shefford Mafundikwa, 54, who worked for an American airline, does not smoke though decided to corner some of the cigar market.
Our process here is all handmade. The difference between machine-made and handmade cigars is that the handmade cigars are more delicate Lots of work goes into putting together the cigar.
In May, Shepherd Mafundikwa launched the Mosi Oa Tunya cigars, the local Lozi name for the Victoria Falls, which translates to the smoke that thunders. One of the first setbacks he experienced was that more equipment was needed due to the brittle nature of Zimbabwe's tobacco, which forced Shepherd to import wrappers. Mafundikwa deliberately recruited an all-female rolling team to empower women and provide them with an income.
I'm not able to help my husband to pay the bills, even to help my children to get the education. So it's very interesting to be at Mosi Oa Tunya. I'm now empowered.
Mosi Oa Tunya cigars come in different sizes, prices, and flavors that send wafts of cherry and vanilla across the factory. Mafundikwa was targeting both seasoned and novice smokers. The cigars have a refined taste and aroma without being too strong, which is a sign of good quality.
We are going to be focusing more on the export market. And already we've got firm interest from South Africa, Angola, Romania, Dubai.
Mosi Oa Tunya also has African brands to compete against. Morocco's Habanos, which is seeking to expand to the US, and another new Southern African manufacturer, Mozambique's Bongani Luxury Cigars. Mafundikwa is confident Mosi Oa Tunya is up to the challenge.
Now, here's a story of a 24-year-old Ugandan Hilary Naumanya who rides a bike around the wider Kampala area, saving lives by delivering antiretroviral drugs to HIV-positive Ugandans during the COVID-19 lockdown. Take a look.
So, I personally, I chose to be delivering medicines to other people. So, since you understand, before it was strict, no transport, not public transport. And I had a bike and I had a passion to do my work. So I decided to, you know what, let me use the available resources so that I can save people's lives. Yeah, but I started by walking. I didn't have a bike. My first day was inspired by a mom who had just given birth, and she was living on ARVs. Her life was depending on ARVs. So I had to foot from home. I got up from home at 6, then went to Mount May, picked medicines of other people also who wanted to be delivered to. Then I started dispensing medicines within Kampala region.
It was through that a friend of mine on social media sent me Hilary's number. I was able to call him, and since then he has been able to deliver for me medication 3 times since the lockdown started. Because if it had not been for them, I think I would have been off medication for 3 months. Because
Continue interacting with us on our social media platforms. On Twitter, it's at Switch TV Kenya, at Chacha Joel, or rather at Joel Chacha M, and on Facebook, Joel Chacha and Switch TV Kenya. Coming up after the break.
Builds COVID-19 field hospital in a national stadium.
Welcome back to Africa Focus. My name is Joel Church and our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. Now, Ugandan authorities are raiding 1,200 beds in the Kampala National Stadium for mild cases of COVID-19 as the Ugandan government prepares for a potential influx of patients as the country records more than 2,100 cases.
Kampala's National Stadium, home of the national football team and Uganda's premier athletics venue, has been deserted for several months by sports fans due to the pandemic. But the infrastructure is expected to get a new boost in the coming days as the government has decided to set up a field hospital there for coronavirus patients.
By the end of July, this place should be a hospital. The painting is taking place. We are doing the electrical connection. We are doing unblocking the sewage system, fixing new toilets, new taps, and so on. So we expect, but currently it has normalized. We are getting 8, 9 cases, but looking at how people are behaving on the streets, anything can happen. Anything can happen anytime. And you know the spread of corona, it is like bushfire. So we are not going to be, we are not going to sleep thinking that things are normal. For us, we are going ahead and we are going to set all these things in place to wait for the worst case scenario.
The decision to turn Mandela Stadium into a field hospital comes at a time as Uganda fears a resurgence of infections. The field hospital should have 1,200 beds and will only receive patients with mild cases and asymptomatic patients.
We have brought this is 240 beds in this room called Kiprotich. But we have 6 other big halls that can accommodate an average of 100, plus so many small rooms that can accommodate between 8, others 2, 4, and so on. The total patients that we can have inside the building is 1,200. That is when we round and so on. So Nambole is for mild cases. People who are asymptomatic, they haven't fallen really seriously sick. In case of the severe cases, we don't intend to treat them from here. You'll be...
Now, in Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta has directed that there will be no movement of public transport in Nairobi, Mombasa and Mandera without right certifications. Uhuru said that to operate PSV vehicles, the operators will require certification from the Ministry of Health in consultation with the Ministry of Transport. Kesilale spoke to some of the PSV owners and compiled the following report.
After almost 4 months of no working, it is a sigh of relief for workers in the transport sector as the head of state finally directs the resumption of the public transport sector. Despite this, President Uhuru Kenyatta has said the operators will require certification from the Ministry of Health in consultation with the Transport Ministry before resuming.
There shall be no movement of public transport vehicles into and out of areas previously under cessation of movement restrictions without the public transport providers being compliant with all protocols developed by the Ministry of Health.
Even though the move looks positive, those in the sector say guidelines stipulated by the head of state is not friendly as it will still affect their business negatively.
Rais alitangaza amefungulia Nairobi, amefungulia lockdown ya Nairobi, Mandera na Mombasa. Watu wamefurahia, hata wengi wamepiga simu kwa ofisi, zaidi ya watu 100 wanataka kusafiri kesho. Lakini watu hawawezi safiri na hiyo masharti yenye rais ametoa. So tunaomba tu rais atusaidie.
Tumeumia na tumeteseka sana. Kwa nini? Si ni maasela. Hebu angalia street vile inakaa. Ndio Uhuru amefungua, tumefurahia. Lakini mambo imetutokezea, si wenyewe tumeumia.
Kenyans, however, have mixed reactions on the resumption of the transport sector, with some disappointed with the whole idea.
Traveling up country, because even if you don't travel, you still have people are still traveling within their counties already. The method they are using is universal. It is the same universally. So it is still good because only that they still continue to observe those
ya kufunga. Nimeona namba zikiongezeka, idadi imeenda juu sana na wamefunga. Sasa msomi atauliza inamaanisha kwamba vile wamefunga hawakufunga sana ama ni nini? Kwa hivyo inamaanisha hii janga liko na sisi, tuwe nyumbani, tuwe hapa, tuwe pahali popote.
The head of state have also announced the resumption of international flights from August 1st and that of local from next week Wednesday under strict guidelines in the country's planned phased reopening.
National air travel into and out of the territory of the Republic of Kenya shall resume effective the 1st of August 2020, once again in strict conformity with all protocols from the Ministry of Health.
The move comes after almost 4 months of suspension of all travels in and out of the country. Aviation industry has taken a lion's share of the coronavirus hit, with most countries having suspended all international flights. This resulted to massive layoffs as the sector tried to adjust to the new normal to survive the harsh economic times. The mixed reactions from Kenyans pertaining the resumption of the transport sector is a clear indication of the fears they have. However, for now, only time will tell if this will help or worsen the situation. Kate Silale, Swing TV in Nairobi.
Crossing borders, rescuers from European humanitarian group assist a small rickety boat drifting off Sicily, about 70 kilometers south of Lampedusa. On board were 16 migrants, including 4 children and a woman who say they had left from Zaris, Tunisia. Before the most recent rescue, the 69-meter boat had been turning in circles between Sicily and Malta, awaiting a port of disembarkation, as some of the migrants, including Moroccans, Egyptians and Sudanese, become increasingly panicked. The organization said the new migrants were mostly from Bangladesh, South Sudan, Pakistan and Ghana. Sometimes the migrants lash out their rescuers. One Moroccan man complained that their boat had almost arrived at Lampedusa when they were pulled in by the Ocean Viking 100 kilometers from shore. Other migrants in past rescue operations have thrown themselves into the water seeking to swim to land. Back to Eastern Africa. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has a plan to start filling a mega dam on the Blue Nile River this month, despite objections from downstream neighbors Egypt and Sudan.
Ethiopian Prime Minister stated that recent domestic unrest would not derail his plan of filling a mega dam on the Blue Nile River. More than 160 people died in inter-ethnic killings and in clashes between protesters and security forces.
If Ethiopia doesn't fill the dam, it means Ethiopia has agreed to demolish the dam.
Violence broke out, leading to the death of Hachalu Hundessa, a popular singer from an Oromo group in Ethiopia. According to Ethiopia Prime Minister, Hachalu's killing and violence that ensued were part of a plot to sow unrest.
After Hachalu Hundessa's death, news was contravened with the aim of distracting the Ethiopian government from the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam.
Ethiopian officials have not publicized the exact day they intend to start filling the dam. Ethiopia sees the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam as essential to its electrification and development, while Egypt and Sudan worry it will restrict access to vital Nile waters.
If Ethiopia becomes like Syria, if Ethiopia becomes like Libya, everybody loses.
Ethiopian Prime Minister criticized politicians who he suggested were trying to profit from Hachalu's killing to undermine his government.
In Antananarivo, the capital of Madagascar, lockdown has been imposed 2 months after measures were erased after a spike in coronavirus cases. Many of the streets of the capital are worried about how they will survive the renewed lockdown and the source of income.
You know, it's the small people who suffer. They lock down all the time. I suggest that we give them the opportunity to work, to earn money. It would be a bit of a relief, but the only way we can find is to threaten them. Let people go and sell because they are in trouble.
I'm a plastic bag saleswoman. We are being chased away and we can't sell when money doesn't fall from the sky. I have already sold my pots and my sheet. I have nothing left to eat, nothing to sell. Where are we going to go?
I'm a widow and I'm destitute. The social leaders have to take a close look at our case because people are confined, but there are some who have to leave for reasons of health, death, or obligations for us or our children.
La chaîne de transmission. Et effectivement, Antananarivo, Analamanga,
In Antananarivo or Analamanga, region of the capital, people have become lax in respecting social distancing. That is why we had this rise in cases, and therefore we are obliged to take measures to make the population respect social distancing and to be able to break the chain of transmission.
And that's where we wrap up the Africa Focus from right here in Nairobi, which is the capital of Kenya. My name is Joel Church, and our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. Until next time, do have a safe and good time.